How's it going, my flesh and blood players? If you are watching this, you have an interest in playing Cindra or a ninja class, and this is going to be kind of close to an Armory deck price. In case if we don't get one from her soon, this is kind of what it might look like. So Cindra's ability text is, if you hit a mark hero, you get a fealty token, which does help with some draconic synergies. It's sort of relevant for her, but her biggest text that's the most important is an instant, cost 3, you pay to get 2 draconic daggers back from graveyard into play. And every time you have a draconic chain link, it will cost 1 less. So that's kind of more what we want to synergize off of, because we want to be able to keep using our daggers and bringing them back. We're going to go over to the deck itself. I will have a link of that underneath in the description. And if you have any questions or comments about the build or anything, please leave a comment below. Alright, so let's go over there and we will discuss the build a little bit.
So this is the deck that I put together here. Blossom of Spring and Danger Digits, I think if they did make an Armory deck for it, those can end up changing. But I think Pouncing Links is a good way to go. So mostly because we're going to end up running Salt the Wounds, and you could run a Tenacity as well, but that has gone up in price a little bit, so I didn't want to put that in. I just threw an extra Salt the Wound in inventory just in case we are going into an aggro matchup where that can be viable. Either you draw it or you get it off of pouncing. You can also use the mass for the lava bursts as well. And of course we have some AB to cover. A few blues, we have the throw daggers and concealed blades. So with us not having flicked knives, we need a couple more things that can throw the daggers around. When I was playing it, it's still workable. You can still at least throw a kunai per turn. Danger Digits is just for kind of closer to an end game and you're starting to be a little bit more consistent with throwing the daggers around. And Blood Runs Deep, just such a good card in this deck. I can't stress that enough, and it's very cheap to get. So as you can see, this is all the pricing. Like I said, it's a little bit over the $60 price range, but when I built it, it was around that. So the deck's kind of going to fluctuate a little bit depending on popularity of the meta, which I do feel like Cindra is going to start going up again as some of these heroes start to LL, especially after Aurora leaves. So that is something to think about if you have an interest in playing Cindra. Now that you got to see the list and all the pricings, we're going to go over to a matchup and see how she does in play. So the matchup that we're doing here is against a Teklovasan. Of course, I know he's not the greatest hero in the game, but he does block a lot, so it will kind of show what kind of damage we can output here against a more defensive kind of build. This is where I think Prowess of Agility would be good, be a little more consistent. We add an extra Salt just in case we have to block with some, or we can at least start pushing some damage through at some points. So something to mention too, if you haven't played Talishar in a while, and I don't know if this is going for everyone now or if it was just how mine's running, but in order to keep a chain active now, you have to start playing it during your resolution step, which after me getting in, it confused me for a little bit, so I had some really weird games because you can't undo yourself where you can get back onto the chain sometimes. Just a little thing in case you haven't played it in a while. That might be an issue that you're gonna have to get used to, because it was something that I also had to get used to again. So yeah, it kind of stunk that we had to lose the Mounting Anger. You also ain't gonna really want to block. As long as you have a workable hand, you're not gonna be too worried about possibly losing an arsenal unless it's a very clutch card in the build like a Blood Runs Deep. So as you can see, we're just doing similar value for our Assault Wound if nothing would have hit that turn. Just using the kunais for 2 rather than the salt. So that way we can get it back for later as well. And it did kind of help me be able to make this hand work with synergizing with the hot on our heels. And unfortunately we are going to lose one of our kunais, but that's why I broke the chain after the first attack, so we can at least get 1 dagger back. And that's kind of how this build works. There are times you'll be able to use 2 and then get them both back, which is great, but more than not, you're kind of just trying to work on the 1. Yeah, so we also have only 1 Ancestral Empowerment in this deck. Just because of pricing, I could only put 1 in. But if you're willing to spend a little bit more, it wouldn't hurt being able to have a playset of it. And the Throw Dagger was really nice to draw into. So we're going to play this Rising Resentment. If it hits, we'll be able to play Mark of Magma for free. And then we could use Throw Dagger afterwards to try and draw a card. Or we could also Arsenal it as well to set up for a play later. Yeah, seeing that he really likes his hand, I think it just made sense to throw a dagger at his face and see what we drew, which probably wasn't the best card to draw, but we'll see. But we did find out he ended up covering it up. Made sense to do because there was enough hits in that chain that Salto was going to come for a pretty decent amount of damage. And I was able to use that kunai we attacked with the throw as well. When you're able to do a Salt the Wound for 6, that's not a bad it's not a bad salt run. We are just doing Cindra things. We're not really blocking much. We just kind of want to take the damage. This hand is really funky. I didn't want to do a double rake. I think I want to save that rake for a better turn after we arsenal it. Because without having links at this point, now we're just going to be trying to do as much raw damage as possible. Getting a Wrath of Retribution was pretty nice. Because now, this is when you try to find out how much damage you can do with your kunais. Me only having 1 right now, this is when we could use Danger Digits to throw and get them back, and then we can swing more with them. And since we have Rake over the coals in Arsenal, we're going to be able to start throwing these kunais for 3, which is going to be really good. And yeah, this guy just discards 2 of these shelters, which I find that pretty odd. I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it, but I think he would have had better value blocking them for 8. Even, yeah, I'm not sure. Even though I kind of don't have things come in for 4 this turn, so it might have worked out the same. Well, except for Wrath, because since we have Rake over the Coals active, Retribution would be coming in for 4. Yeah, so we're definitely going in for a nasty turn here. Now our kunais are free. They're coming in for 3 because of Rake being active as well. I was debating if I wanted to play Ignite or not, but I mean, right now it's just pretty much doing damage with Go again. We're not too worried about the cost at this point. The only downside we're going to have is we won't have any kunais for next turn. But when you have a setup play like this, it just makes sense for you to go as wide as possible and deal as much damage as you can. Because there's not going to be many times when you're going to be able to buff your kunais for 2. Having a Blood Runs Deep is pretty good. I kind of wish we had our daggers at the moment, but I think what I can do after this Rising Resentment, we're going to be able to pitch with Throw Dagger, and then we'll be able to actually swing with the kunais and then throw the Blood Runs Deep. That's going to be your most damage value for this turn. Yeah, he has put himself in a really bad spot. That's why I really like Blood Runs Deep, because they're always worried about having that last hit of damage to be at 1 life, where that just deals 2 on demand. So it's almost kind of like a reckless swing thing. You just don't want to be at 2 life with Cindra. Jeez, you don't even want to be at under 5 life with Cindra, because if you're going to play a more competitive build, they're most likely going to have flick knives, and they're going to just keep flicking that damage at you until you're dead. So what makes me find Cindra interesting is that she kind of can put you on a clock if you're building it in that way, and she can definitely do some stuff. I like that she throws a lot of daggers at your face. So that does do it for the video. As you can see some of the stats there. So after this, we are going to start talking about high seas soon. We do have a box of Rosetta that we're going to go through before that. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and please look into my Lore Booster Box game. We will be doing Rosetta next week for that. Alright, thank you all for watching. Take care.